All right, welcome back to Tech Talk Central. It's Nathan and Sarah here, and you guys been hitting us up nonstop about this one.
Yeah, this is a big one.
So today we're diving deep into Samsung Neo QLED versus LG QNED.
The Battle of the Brightness Kings.
That's right. Specifically, we're looking at their 65-inch class models. So that's the Samsung QN90D series and the LG QNED 85T.
And we're going to really put them through the brightness gauntlet here.
We are. We're going to cut through all that marketing jargon and give you guys the clear insights into which one might truly be the best for you.
All right, so let's break it down. You're considering two top-tier TVs, both promise stunning picture quality, but we really want to dig into the nitty-gritty, especially when it comes to brightness. How bright can they actually get?
Exactly. And to kick things off, let's start with the Samsung Neo QLED, the QN90D.
Okay.
Now, their backlighting technology is something they talk about a lot. Quantum matrix with mini LEDs. What is so special about these mini LEDs?
Well, it all comes down to the density of light sources. Like, think about it. Traditional LEDs are pretty big, but mini LEDs are tiny. Much, much smaller.
Okay.
This lets Samsung pack way more of them behind the screen. So for you, more LEDs means far more precise control over that backlighting. It's like having a dimmer switch for hundreds of tiny zones on your screen. So you get incredibly nuanced control of light and dark areas, and most importantly, a huge boost in potential brightness, which is, as you know, essential for HDR, high dynamic range.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that precision lighting seems to tie directly into their Neo Quantum HDR Plus great feature. So it's not just about making the picture super bright, right?
Right, yeah. When we talk about HDR, it's about a wider range of brightness and color information.
Yeah.
So to really show off those super vibrant HDR scenes with like deep shadows and amazing highlights, a TV needs to hit both extremes, extreme brightness, and keep those details in the dark areas. Neo Quantum HDR Plus suggests that Samsung is using that mini LED precision. It's all managed by, those fancy algorithms, that's the quantum matrix part, to deliver that dynamic range, really trying to get to that picture quality the creators intended.
And they even have a feature called HDR Brightness Optimizer.
Yeah.
Seems specifically designed to make sure we are seeing all that detail, even in those dark scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So with HDR Brightness Optimizer, dark scenes don't just become a murky mess where the details disappear. It basically analyzes and adjusts the image in real time, optimizes those brightness levels scene by scene.
Nice.
But it also takes into account the ambient light in your room. So if you are watching TV during the day with a lot of sunlight, this feature is really going to come in handy. It'll stop that picture from looking washed out.
I like that. Now, switching gears just slightly, the QN90D also boasts a motion accelerator 144 Hz. That just sounds like a treat for gamers out there.
Oh, it is, definitely. So a higher refresh rate, like 144 Hertz, essentially means the screen can update that image more times every second. And what that means for you is smoother motion, less blur, which is particularly good for fast-paced content like video games, sports, that sort of thing. But it is important to remember you will need compatible content and connections like maybe a new gaming console or a high-end PC to actually take advantage of that 144 hertz.
Right.
Most movies and TV broadcasts are still working at lower frame rates.
Gotcha. Okay. Samsung also mentions this Real Depth Enhancer Pro. It analyzes each frame and adjusts the picture to create that greater sense of depth. What's going on there?
So it's a pretty clever use of their processing power. Basically, the TV analyzes the picture and it tries to figure out what the main focus point is.
Oh, cool.
And then it subtly adjusts the contrast and sharpness around that area. This little visual cue kind of tricks your brain into seeing more depth, more dimension in the image. So it just feels more immersive, more three-dimensional.
Oh, nice. And powering all of this is their 4K AI upscaling and NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor. AI seems to be everywhere these days.
Oh, it is. It really is. And in TVs, it's becoming super crucial. So the 4K AI upscaling basically means the TV uses artificial intelligence to upscale lower resolution content, like, say, your old DVDs or standard cable channels, and it scales it to fit that beautiful 4K screen.
Right.
And the NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor is like the brain behind it all. It uses all these specialized AI algorithms to manage how the TV performs, not just upscaling, but also sound with Dolby Atmos and all the smart TV hub stuff. Samsung is really investing in that processing power to try and make the image and sound quality better across all kinds of content.
Okay, so let's talk about what people are actually saying about this TV once they get it in their homes. The customer reviews for the QN90D seem to really back up Samsung's claims about the brightness, especially when it comes to glare.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually found a review from someone in Arizona. They've got windows on 3 walls and this super reflective chandelier.
Hmm.
And even with all that, they reported almost no reflection during the day. They even said the glare reduction was insane.
Wow.
That's a pretty strong endorsement for their anti-glare tech, especially in those tough conditions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not just about fighting glare. The overall feedback on the picture quality is super positive. People talk about really clear, vibrant images with a real sense of depth. They love the AI upscaling.
Yeah.
And for our deep dive today, a lot of people are mentioning that serious brightness, saying it's easy to watch in broad daylight and that it's way brighter than their old TVs.
Yeah, the customers are really backing up what Samsung's saying about the brightness. That combo of the mini LED backlighting, the HDR processing, and that anti-glare tech seems to be working really well.
Yeah, it does. All right, let's switch over to the LG side of things and take a look at the QNED 85T. Their main thing seems to be this QNE contrast with AI, focusing on natural-looking images using those deep learning algorithms to enhance both the contrast and brightness.
What I find interesting here is that LG is really emphasizing AI right off the bat when they're talking about contrast. They're using AI not just for upscaling, but to analyze and optimize the contrast and brightness on the screen. They want a picture that feels really natural to your eye.
Right.
So it's a different approach to Samsung's more hardware-focused method with the mini LEDs.
Okay, interesting. They also talk about quantum dot nanocell color. That seems to be their way of delivering those rich and accurate colors.
Right, so LG's QNED is actually an acronym. It stands for Quantum Dot Nanocell Emitting Diode. It combines quantum dots, which are these tiny particles that emit pure colors when light hits them. That gives you the color accuracy. And then they have their nanocell technology that uses these tiny particles to filter out unwanted light wavelength. That results in better color purity and wider viewing angles.
Gotcha.
So while Samsung is leading with brightness in their marketing, LG is really focusing on those consistently beautiful and accurate colors. Now, it's not directly about peak brightness, but accurate, vibrant colors can make a bright image look even more dynamic, that extra pop.
Absolutely. The LG QNE 85T also features a 120 Hz native refresh rate. That puts it right up there with the Samsung in terms of smooth motion.
Yep. 120 hertz native refresh rate is pretty standard for a modern TV these days. You're
Yeah.
going to get nice, smooth motion for those action movies, sports, video games, all that good stuff.
And like Samsung, LG has their own AI-powered processor, the AAAI Processor 4K with AI Picture Pro.
Hmm.
Sounds like it's doing similar things, automatically adjusting those picture settings.
We're seeing that a lot now, that AI integration in high-end TVs. LG's AI processor is supposed to make things easier for you by analyzing what you're watching and choosing the best picture settings. AI Picture Pro suggests it's doing some pretty deep analysis and fine-tuning there.
I see.
And it also has a multi-view feature, which lets you watch two different sources at the same time. Not really related to brightness, but still pretty neat.
Yeah, very cool. LG also mentions HDR10 Pro. How does that compare to standard HDR10?
So HDR10 Pro is LG's own take on HDR10, the high dynamic range format. It's built on that open HDR10 standard, but often uses something called dynamic metadata.
Okay.
Now, dynamic metadata is like instructions that can change from scene to scene, telling the TV how to show the HDR content.
Mm.
It's optimizing brightness and contrast on a much more granular level than the static metadata in standard HDR10, which applies to the whole video.
Gotcha. Now, when we look at how LG talks about brightness and what customers are saying, it's a little different from Samsung. They do mention enhanced brightness with their QNE contrast. But the reviews we looked at tend to focus more on the color accuracy, the sharpness, the overall contrast, not so much about those extreme brightness levels.
That's a good point. The language they use in their marketing and what customers actually talk about can tell you a lot about a TV's strengths. LG definitely wants to improve brightness as part of better contrast, but it doesn't seem like the main selling point, not like it is for Samsung with the QN90D.
Yeah. The feedback on LG's image quality is definitely positive, though. Reviewers are praising the sharpness, the contrast, the vibrant and accurate colors.
Yeah.
Some even mention that it handles lower resolution content really well. They're noticing increased color vibrancy, better contrast, and really deep blacks.
It seems like LG is going for a more balanced and accurate image reproduction, focusing on color and contrast. It's a more holistic approach to picture quality rather than just going all in on that maximum brightness.
All right, so let's sum this all up. Head-to-head. Brightness battle. Based on everything we've discussed, it seems pretty clear where each brand is putting their focus. Samsung is really hammering that brightness message with their mini LED tech, and the reviews are backing it up. Great glare handling and overall brightness.
Absolutely. Samsung's marketing and what people are actually experiencing really point to the QN90D being the winner if you just want sheer brightness and the ability to handle reflections in bright rooms.
Right. On the other hand, LG is pushing their QNED contrast and quantum dot nanoscale color, really leaning into that balanced contrast and accurate color, with AI doing a lot of the heavy lifting to get that optimal picture quality. Brightness is part of it, but it doesn't seem to be the star of the show like it is for Samsung.
Exactly. Both TVs offer a 120 hertz refresh rate for that smooth motion. And Samsung even says you can get up to 144 hertz if you have the right sources and the 65-inch model. But for brightness specifically, the real difference maker seems to be Samsung's mini LED backlighting. That's designed from the ground up to boost brightness with that incredible precision control we talked about.
So for our listeners out there, what's the main takeaway as they're comparing these two awesome TVs?
Okay, so if your number one priority is a TV that's super bright, can handle glare in a bright room, and gives you those really vivid HDR highlights, then based on what we've seen, the Samsung Neo QLED QN90D might be the way to go. That mini LED tech seems to be a game changer when it comes to brightness.
However, if you're more focused on excellent color accuracy, strong contrast with the help of AI, and smooth motion with natural-looking images, the LG QNED 85T is a really strong option. It offers a fantastic picture, just with a slightly different focus.
Right, it really boils down to what you value most in a picture and the lighting in your room.
So in this deep dive into the battle of the brightness kings, both the Samsung Neo QLED and the LG QNED have a lot to offer. They're both really impressive. For pure brightness, especially if you've got a lot of ambient light, the Samsung QN90D seems to take the crown. But the LG QNED 85T gives you that amazing balance of color accuracy and AI-enhanced contrast that I think a lot of people are going to love. Hopefully this breakdown has helped clear things up for you guys.
And to find the latest prices and deals, check out those links in the description below. And if you found this deep dive helpful, please subscribe to our channel, Tech Talk Central, for more in-depth tech comparisons. We'll see you in the next one.